Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another day of reading through. I guess this would be mythology with Daniel. Last time we were together, I talked about how brutal the gods of mythology for this stuff, and talking about Zeus and all the gods that went with them. So now we're going to dive further in, and we're going into the lesser gods of Olympus. And as I go through. There's a lot too. As I go through, I will stop and talk about them like I normally do. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. But let's get to it. There were other divinities in heaven besides the 12 great Olympians. The most important of them was the god of love, Cupid in Latin. Homer knows nothing of him, but he is. Pharis of the deathless gods. The deathless. In the early stories, he is oftenest a beautiful, serious youth who gives good gifts to men. This idea the Greeks had of him is best summed up not by a poet, but by a philosopher, Plato. Love, Eros, makes his home in men's hearts, but not in every heart. For where there is hardness, he departs. His greatest glory is that he cannot do wrong, nor allow it. Force never comes near him, for all men serve him of their own free will, and he whom love touches not walks in darkness. In the early accounts of Eros, it was not Aphrodite's son, but merely her occasional companion, I guess. In the later poets, he was her son, and almost invariably a mischievous, naughty boy, or worse. Evil in his heart, but honey sweet his tongue, no truth in him, the rogue. He is cruel in his play, small are his hands, yet his arrows fly far as death. Tiny his shaft, but it carries heaven high. Touch not his treacherous gifts, they are dipped in fire. He was often represented as blindfolded because love is often blind. In attendance upon him was Anteros, said sometimes to be the avenger of slighted love, sometimes the one who opposes love. Also, I'm going to have to look this up. Imero, or longing, and Hymen, the god of the wedding feast. Interesting. Hebe was the goddess of youth, the daughter of Zeus and Hera. Sometimes she appears as a cup-bearer to the gods. Sometimes that office is held by a beautiful young Trojan prince who is seized and carried up to Olympus by Zeus's eagle. There are no series about this person, Hebe, except that of her marriage to Hercules. Iris was the goddess of the rainbow and the messenger of the gods. In the Iliad, the only messenger, Hermes, appears first in that capacity in the Odyssey, but he does not take Iris's place. Now the other is called upon by the gods. There are also in Olympus two bands of lovely sisters, the Muses and the Graces. The Graces were three: Splendor, Mirth, and Good Cheer. They were the daughters of Zeus and, Everine Omi, child of the Titan Ocean. Except in a story Homer and Hesiod told that Splendor married Hephaestus. They are not treated as separate personalities, but always together, a triple incarnation of grace and beauty. The gods delighted in them, and they danced enchantingly to Apollo's lyre, and the man they visited was happy. Their give life is its bloom. Together with their companions, the Muses, they were queens of song, and no banquet without them could please. The Muses were 9 in number, the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne. No, I'm going to have to look that up. Mnemosyne, I would have completely destroyed that, and I'm glad I looked it up. Okay, let's see, where were we? Somewhere. There we go. And Mnemosyne. Memory at first, like the Graces, they were not distinguished from each other. They are all, let's see, they were all, it said, of one mind. Their hearts are set upon song, and their spirit is free from care. He is happy whom the Muses love. For though a man has sorrow and grief in his soul, yet when he servant of the Muses sing, at once he forgets his dark thoughts and remembers not his troubles. Such is the holy gift of the Muses to men. In later times, each had her own special field. Silo was a muse of history, so there was... Goodness, I'm not going to butcher these. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of names. Poetry, songs, love poetry, epic poetry, dance, comedy, tragedy, and astronomy and history. Let's just do that. That way I don't have to butcher the names. All right. From time to time, few mortals were translated to Olympus. Once they had been brought to heaven, they vanished from literature. Their stories will be told later. So let's move on. Poseidon, Neptune, was a lord and ruler of the sea, the Mediterranean, and the Friendly Sea. Underground rivers, too, were his. Ocean, a Titan, was a lord of the river Ocean, a great river encircling the earth. His wife, also a Titan, was Thetis. The Oceanids, the nymphs of the great river, were their daughters. The gods of all rivers on earth were their sons. Pontus, which means deep sea, was a son of Mother Earth and father of Nereus. Nereus, a sea god far more important than himself was. And Nereus was called the Old Man of the Sea, a trusty god and gentle. Hesiod said, "Who thinks just and kindly thoughts and never lies?" His wife was Doris, a daughter of Ocean. They had 50 lovely daughters and nymphs of the sea called... I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Ahead, because these are going to be more and more hard to pronounce. Okay, so let's go on to the underworld. I don't want to butcher any more names. Okay, the kingdom of the dead was ruled by one of the 12 great Olympians, Hades or Pluto, and his queen Persephone. It's often called by his name Hades. It lies... The Iliad says, beneath the secret places of the earth. In the Odyssey, the way to it leads over the edge of the world across an ocean. In later poets, there are various entrances to it from the earth through caverns and beside deep lakes. So with these accounts, you could just find it. You could find it if you just happen to stumble across it. Tartarus and Erebus are sometimes two divisions of the underworld. Tartarus is the deeper of the two, the prison of the sons of earth. The other is where the dead pass as soon as they die. Often, however, there is no distinction between the two, and either is used, especially Tartarus, as a name for the entire lower region. In Homer, the underworld is vague, a shadowy place inhabited by shadows. Nothing is real there. The ghost's existence, if it can be called that, is like a miserable dream. The later poets define the world of the dead more and more clearly as a place where the wicked are punished and the good are rewarded. In the Roman poet Virgil, this idea is presented in great detail as in no Greek poet. All the torments of the one class and joys of the other are described at length. Virgil, too, is the only poet who gives clearly the geography of the underworld. The path down to it leads to where I'm not sure. The name is how you pronounce it, Acheron, evidently. The river of woe pours into the river of lamentation. An aged boatman named Charon ferries the souls of the dead across the water to the farther bank, where stands the adamantine gate to Tartarus, the name Virgil prefers. Charon will receive into his boat only the souls of those upon whose lips the passage money was placed when they died and who were duly buried. He will receive into his boat only the souls of those upon whose lips the passage money was placed when they died. So what's passage money? Is it like physical money, or is it like something that would only be considered that you would give to the dead? On God, before the gate sits Cerberus, the three-headed dragon-tailed dog who permits all spirits to enter. but none to return. On his arrival, each one is brought before 3 judges. I'm going to try to do this without pausing it. Rhadamanthus, Minos, and Asius. Maybe that's right, I don't know. Who pass sentence and send the wicked to everlasting torment and the good to a place of blessedness called the Elysian fields. 3 other rivers besides those 2, Acron and Cactus, I'm not sure, separate under the world from the world above. The river of fire, the Styx, the river of unbreakable oath by which the gods swear, and Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. I'm going to call it Lethe, I don't know. Somewhere in the vast region is Pluto's palace, but beyond the saying that is many-gated and crowded with innumerable guests. No writer describes it. Around it are wide wastes, wan and cold, and metals of asphodel, presumably strange, phalid, ghostly flowers. We do not know anything more about it. The poets did not care to linger in that gloom-hidden abode. Okay, so how do they know what it looked like? Are they just guessing? Or do they have like first-hand accounts? Well, they can have first-hand accounts because it said Cerberus watches it. So I assume these people are just guessing, but they have good imaginations. So maybe it's truth. Who knows? All right. The Furies are placed by Virgil in the underworld, where they will punish evildoers. The Greek poets thought of them chiefly as pursuing sinners on earth. They were inexorable? Yeah, there you go. But just. Heraclitus says, not even the sun will transgress his orbit, but the Erinyes, the ministers of justice, overtake him. They were usually represented as 3. Interesting. Sleep and Death, his brother, dwelt in the lower world. Dreams too ascend from there to men. They passed through 2 gates, one of horn, through which true dreams went, one of ivory for false dreams. Interesting. Earth itself was called the All-Mother, but she was not really a divinity. She was never separated from the actual earth and personified. The goddess of the corn, Demeter, a daughter of Cronus and Rhea, and the goddess of the vine, Dionysus, also called Bacchus, were the supreme deities of the earth and of great importance in Greek and Roman mythology. Their stories will be found in the next chapter. Okay, cool. Pan was a chief. He was Hermes' son, a noisy, merry god. The Homeric hymn in his honor calls him, but he was part animal too, with a goat's horn and a goat's hoofs instead of feet. He was the goat herd's god and the shepherd's god, and also the gay companion of the woodland nymphs. When they danced, all wild places were his home, thickets and forests and mountains. But best of all, he loved Arcady, where he was born. He was a wonderful musician. Upon his pipes of reed he played melodies as sweet as a nightingale's song. He was always in love with one nymph or another, but always rejected because of his ugliness. Sounds heard in the wilderness at night by the trembling traveler were supposed to be made by him, so that it is easy to see how the expression panic fear arose. Oh, okay. Panic. Aha, I get it. That's great. So, Selinus was sometimes said to be Pan's son, sometimes his brother, a son of Hermes. He was a jovial, fat old man who usually rode an ass because he was too drunk to walk. That's fantastic. He's associated with Bacchus as well as with Pan. He taught him when the wine god was young, and, as is shown by his perpetual drunkenness, after being his tutor, he became his devoted follower. Besides these gods of earth, there was a very famous and very popular pair of brothers, Castor and Pollux, who in most of accounts were said to live half of their time on earth and half in heaven. They were the sons of Leda or Leda. They are usually represented as being gods, the special protectors of sailors. Sailors of swift-going ships when the storm winds rage over the ruthless seas. They were also powerful to save in battle. They were especially honored in Rome when they were worshipped as the great twin brethren to all Dorian's prey. But the accounts of them are contradictory. Sometimes Pollux alone is held to be divine and Castor immortal, who won a kind of half and half immortality merely because of his brother's love. Leda was the wife of King Tynandrus of Sparta. Tynandrus. I'm going to butcher that. And the usual story is that she bore 2 mortal children to him, Castor and... Oh, I got to look that up. Good Lord. Clytemnestra. I'm glad I looked up a guide to how to look some of this stuff up. Agamemnon's wife, and to Zeus, who visited her in the form of a swan. 2 others who were immortal, Pollux and Helen, the heroine of Troy. Nevertheless, both brothers, Castor and Pollux, were often called sons of Zeus. Indeed, the Greek name they are best known for by the Dioscuri, means the striplings of Zeus. On the other hand, they were also called sons of Tynandrus. Interesting. They are also represented as a living just before the Trojan War, at the same time as Theseus and Jason and Atalanta. Interesting. They took part in the Caledonian boar hunt. They went to the quest of the Golden Fleece, and they rescued Helen when Theseus carried her off. But in all stories, they play an unimportant part except for the account of Castor's death when Pollux proved his brotherly devotion. The 2 went, we are not told why, to the land of some cattle owners. There, Pindar says, Idas, made angry in some way about his oxen, stabbed and killed Castor. Other writers say that the cause of this dispute was the 2 daughters of the king of the country. I'm glad I looked it up. It's Leucippus. That does not look like Leucippus. Pollux stabbed Lynceus, and Zeus struck Idas with his thunderbolt, but Castor was dead and Pollux was inconsolable. He prayed to die also, and Zeus in pity allowed him to share his life with his brother to live. That's nice. Half of thine beneath the earth and half within the golden homes of heaven. According to this version, the 2 were never separated again. One day they dwelt in Hades, the next in Olympus, always together. The late Greek writer Lucian also gives another version, in which their dwelling places are heaven and earth. And when Pollux goes to one, Castor goes to the other, so that they were never with each other. In Lucian's title, Little Satire, Apollo asks Hermes, I say, why do we never see Castor and Pollux in the same time? Well, Hermes replies, they are so fond of each other that when fate decreed one of them must die, then the other be immortal. They decided to share mortality between them. Not very wise, Hermes. What proper employment can they engage in that way? Employment? I foretell the future. He pronounces Asclepius, cures diseases. You are a good messenger, but these 2, they are too idle away their whole time? No, surely. They're in Poseidon's service. Their business is to save any ship in distress. Ah, now you say something. I'm delighted they're in such good business. 2 stars were supposed to be theirs, the Gemini, the twins. Well, that's cool. They were always represented as riding splendid snow-white horses, but Homer distinguishes Castor above Pollux for horsemanship. He calls the 2 Castor, tamer of horses, and the other is a good boxer. Nice. Well, we're going to stop there for today. Ooh, man. There are some crazy bananas words out there, but I'm glad I found them. So the lesser gods seem to be not as murderous as the other gods. They're getting hijinks. It looks like a lot of hijinks. It's like Lucy and Ethel. Not necessarily bad people that can like murder and things like the other gods did, but they get into some stuff. Anyway, so starting to see some good. We'll continue next time as we're going in it. Thank you for coming to see me. I appreciate it. And then, we'll see you next time. Probably tomorrow, hopefully. But have a good day, and we'll see you next time.